Hi, everyone. This is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. All right, my guest this week, you guys, is Dr. Alysondra Duke, and I just came across her work based on a newsletter that I'm part of a couple of weeks ago. Linda Lingle, the financial coach. She came into my life maybe 6 months ago through another resource or newsletter kind of thing, and I talked to her on the phone about some financial planning, etc. She has a newsletter. You were a guest on her podcast, or her, I don't know what you would call it, like a weekly workshop.
Yeah, she does like a virtual weekly happy hour.
Yeah, that's right. Linda Lingle. Yeah. So I heard you on that, and I don't get a chance to always go on there just based on the time that they're on, but I was immediately struck by two things. Number one, your energy and just the way you were articulate, and your sense of humor. You were being funny, and you were trying to portray a lot of important information, but you did it in a way that was funny and engaging, and so I really appreciated that. And then I thought you also...
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And then right away I noticed you sounded like a person who really, really loved what she did. And that's what my podcast is all about, sharing stories of people that love what they do so that other people like you and me can figure it out sooner rather than later. Mm-hmm. And with that, obviously, the more people that can figure it out sooner, the better the better in shape our planet's going to be, is my theory on it. So that's my mission in life. So thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And so it's so nice and sort of serendipitous, how we just kind of find each other. And I think that we all find one another for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad to be here.
Couldn't agree more. So I'd like to start off the podcast with this question, and it really is because even if I did know you, sometimes you know people really well and you never knew that they didn't start off where they are now, or they had no idea they wanted to be fill in the blank, and it completely changed midway through their life, or something they dreamt about for 25 years is exactly the wrong thing they want, ended up studying or whatever. So how about you? You are, what is your line of work now? And did you always see yourself in this career?
Yeah. So now I'm a psychologist. So I have my PhD in counseling psychology, and I'm also a coach, and I primarily work with high achieving women. So entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, different change makers, in helping them to have, helping them on their emotional wellness while they're doing all of the awesome things that they're doing. I work, now I'm working, one-to-one with people and doing coaching and leading coaching groups, and also doing some business mentoring for early entrepreneurs and business owners. And so it's a lot of fun. And, I didn't always know that this was my path. I was the first in my family to go to college, and I was, there was my stepfather, who was the head of our household, was a musician. And so we moved around a lot looking for, always the next best band for him to be playing in. And with that, I had this big dream that I too would be, a famous singer and be able to just tour the world and do all of these things. And over time, I realized that wasn't necessarily my dream. And I knew that I really, as time kind of went on, I knew that I wanted education. I knew that college was of interest to me, so pursued that route. And something that stood out to me was this whole track an idea of women's and gender studies. And I kind of got into that to do some advocacy for women, and wasn't sure exactly where that path would lead. And it was really amazing, though. I, had the chance to help out some local resource centers, or nonprofits, or do some different kind of advocacy work, and then ended up sort of really tuning into what I felt like I was really good at, which was really hearing people, really being able to see a path forward for them, and wanted to get more training on that. So went and got my PhD, became a psychologist, fused my interest in women's studies, women's advocacy with psychology, and now doing the work that I'm getting to do. And it's really awesome. But I will say, all along the path, it's like, geez, for a while I wanted to be a veterinarian, also a big star, also, whatever, I wanted to go into astronomy, there was a whole host of options. So, but I've landed here, and I think it's a really good fit.
So when you were in school and you went to study, because I know this happened for me too, like I picked a major because I thought that was a good fit. And I realized maybe halfway through, definitely by my junior year, I wanted to switch, but I was so close to finishing. Did you know, so with your gender, women and gender studies and the psychology, did you know in the middle and switch to psychology? Or were you like towards the end of your undergrad education, like, wait a minute, I think I like psychology, I'm gonna get my PhD. I'm just curious if it came in there, how soon it came in.
No, it was all over the place. And, because I was the first in my family to go to college, nobody really knew what I was doing, myself included, and so I didn't have a whole lot of guidance. I just was kind of figuring out as I go. And like many college students, I switched my major several times. So I actually started as a pre-vet major, so thinking I would be a veterinarian, but hated every single bit of the science piece and just had outright refusal to do some of the projects that they wanted me to do. So that wasn't a good fit. And then, switched over to English, and then switched over to psychology. And the interesting thing, when I switched into psychology, I actually thought it was pretty boring. And I think I thought it was so boring because we spent so much time, in undergrad classes on some of that more historical data, Freud and all of these kinds of things. And so I knew I wanted to be in it differently. So then women's and gender studies kind of caught my eye because they were having really interesting conversations and talking about, topics that felt like they weren't coming up all of the time. So it was just really intriguing for me. And that intrigue kind of helped me finish it out. And actually from my undergrad, I got a master's in women's studies, and I still don't even know what I thought my plan was then at the time. I just knew I felt guided to create some good change in the world, and wanted to help women, and wanted to really help women to believe in themselves in new and different ways, believe in their capacity. I think it's because I had so many naysayers in my life. So I knew I just wanted to move forward. I knew I wanted to help people, but it wasn't until maybe after my master's program even, and then I was, in the workforce, that then I figured out like, I think that I met more psychologists, and I liked kind of the work they were doing, and then thought like, I think I'll go down that path. So it was an involved process, and it took me a little longer to finish up undergrad. And, I was, the oldest in my class in my doctorate, training program. And so, but it's been a journey, a good journey, but a journey.
Always, yes, always a journey, right? I mean, I try to teach my kids that too. It's like you can pick something and then expect something to change along the way. Don't be disappointed or discouraged if it does change. It's pretty much guaranteed to change. Very few people, I remember feeling like that in high school. Like there were people that were 15, 17 years old. I'm going to go study this. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to get a job doing X, Y, Z. And I just remember thinking at 15 and 17, how are you so clear about that? It always amazed me. And then I felt like, what's wrong with me that I'm not so clear? There's so many, kind of like you, so many different things I think I want to do. I don't know what kind of job I'm going to have. I'm just going to keep going towards the thing that I like. But I think when I know for me, when I saw that when I was younger, I thought there must be something wrong that I don't know that. But now I realize there were very few people that actually did know exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And if they did, they likely didn't finish that same way. They were very sure at the time. But of course, 15, 16,
Right.
17, you have such little wisdom. Maybe you saw your older sister or brother in that role or whatever it was, and you read about it and then that was it. But then like you, I want to be a vet. And you get there and you're like, oh my God, I don't even like science. But no, because no one along the way said,
Mm.
oh, you like animals, but there's
Right,
science and there's all this
right.
other stuff that goes with it. So it's good. It's almost always
Right.
that way. But I think if you are around people that are so sure about something, you think that there's a problem with you when that's really not even the case. That's more the not the normal, not the norm for sure. Okay, so you are.
Absolutely. It really is. And I mean, I think that, oh, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead, please. No, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, I think I think it's true. And it's really kind of an unreasonable expectation that we would have the same interests that we did when we were 15 or 17 years old, when by the time we're 40, right? I mean, it's like we have so much life to live and so many experiences to have. And I think that we put this pressure on, on our younger selves, or even kids now as they're kind of entering college and things like that, to absolutely know. And I think it gets to be completely okay to have that journey. And in fact, is, the marker of a creative person who's just a multi-passionate, very interested, curious person, So I kind of like to reframe that a little bit for people when they do find that they're maybe one of the people that it took a little longer to find.
Yes, and that also I think I'm finding is more the norm too, that people have lots of different interests and it's not just one thing. You might be focused on one thing, but it really is culminating in lots of different angles of that one thing. So it's so important to teach, especially younger people for sure, that. So my next question, what do you think along the way made you, I kind of am already guessing from a few of the things you said already about your upbringing, what made you successful early on and later along the way, what kept you peaceful and content studying, because that takes a big commitment. I know I have a master's degree too. It's like it takes a big commitment to be working and going to school, because usually you're doing both. And then to go on a PhD, one of my sisters has a PhD. It's a huge
Mm-hmm.
commitment. And you definitely sound like you love what you're doing now. What kept you feeling good along the way and successful to finish that program and then do what you do now?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I think that I really have a strong sense of, perseverance. There is something I want, where I feel like it's worth moving forward and figuring out. I'm highly curious. I want to figure out what comes next. And I think that I had a lot of rebellion in my early years within, just from I tell this story sometimes where I had a guidance counselor in high school. I had told her, I wanted to go to college and, pursue these different things. And she said, well, I don't know that you would actually be successful in college. Why don't you think about going to, a trade school or something like that? And it was little comments like that, that I had something to prove. So I had a little bit of, an inner rebellion that came out. And I thought, like, not only am I going to do college and be successful at it, but I'm going to keep going as far as I want to go. I'm curious about all that I'm capable of. So I think there was that kind of piece of wanting to move forward, but then all throughout that, it has been a matter of really doing work that I'm passionate about and doing work that really fuels me. And so although maybe some of the things, going down a women's and gender studies path is not a surefire guarantee that there will be, financial success or something like that. I have always followed what felt true and good to me, just following my heart and following what felt right and authentic. And that has actually led to a lot of success. And even in, if there's some kind of new group or something that I'm offering, I'm always, it's that piece of authenticity, that passion, that heart that shows up that I think people are really drawn to, and that is woven throughout everything that I do. And and now, to kind of keep me humming along and being successful, it's really important to just be taking care of myself, and to be doing things like working out, and getting my own coaching, or getting my own therapy, or making sure that I'm eating well, all of these things to kind of keep me moving and feeling good. So I guess the other piece is I'm always guided by making sure that whatever I'm doing, that I'm well. So I'm always focusing on, I'm putting my emotional and mental health first in everything, because it's my belief that that truly impacts every single aspect of your life, your career, your relationships, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your body. So that's always a really high priority for me. So yeah, so inner rebellion and lots of self-care.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I've had experiences like that too, with people, where people have said, maybe you can't do that or whatever. And I think it's so dangerous, especially when you're in especially high school, for a teacher or a guidance counselor to say, you probably can't do that. It's like, it breaks my heart, because I think like that kid that you're saying it to might be like you, that says, oh, watch me, I'm gonna do it anyways. Or like my husband, he's like that. Or like me, I would have been more like, maybe I can't. And then I would get discouraged. And then I'd go ask someone else, and then someone else might give you different feedback. But they have so much power, and they have so much responsibility to show people the light and the possibilities, and a way to see, like go on their own journey to figure things out and trust themselves. But when they like squash something like that, they never know who they're talking to, what that impact's going to be. And I'm like, how dare you, number one. And number two, I'm so glad it was, you said the opposite, which was, watch me, I'm going to try to do it and prove you wrong anyways. But if it's that kid that goes, oh, maybe I won't. And then they're just like, so now they're wandering about for another 5 years when they didn't follow what they knew was in their heart. And maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. Well, I am only a teenager. Maybe I don't know anything. Let me, I just want to set the record straight. Teenagers obviously aren't wise. I mean, some have inner knowings, and they're creative, and I give them a lot of credit. I've raised two, one's 18, one's 20, almost 23. But the point is, they don't know it all. They think they know it all. Follow along and ask for guidance. But when someone's guiding you and saying, I don't think you can do that, it's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like, show them how it can be done. And the resources that they can use to go find out more about it.
Right.
So yeah, because the ones that are super strong like you, or, like not even defiance, the wrong word, but like that, you know what, I'm gonna do it anyways, and I'm gonna believe in myself and see that such a great trait to have, especially young. And that's why I'm doing this, to say like, hey, there's something in that idea you had, or that inkling, or whatever you want to chase or figure out, or read more about. There's something in that for you. So go figure out what that is, and then go ask more questions about it. But never just know you can't have that, or you couldn't do that. It's so dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think now, at this point in my life, it feels like really important too, to be surrounding myself with mentors who are those, like the yes people, like, yes, you can do it, and showing that support, so I think that that's important for people too, to think about, even if you're surrounded by a bunch of naysayers currently, or partners not as supportive, or friends are not as supportive, to really find the people who are. That's really helped me over so many hurdles, is, kind of creating my own support network too.
I think that's so important for people of all ages. Hopefully people aren't hearing that for the first time in the 40s and 50s, but even, getting in your, you have a group of friends you have fun with or whatever, but if there's people that are saying, oh, maybe you can't do that, or showing you what's not possible, instead of the people that are like, yes, I support you, and here's why, yes, you can do it, and this is what I know about you, this is what I see. I don't think our young people are taught to be surrounding themselves with people like that. Number one, I know I never even thought about it in my 20s and 30s. Also, that comment you made about the emotional and mental well-being and taking care of yourself, it's not really talked about until you either get sick or you're not young anymore. You're not 25, 30, 35. You're in a job that you hate and your house is suffering and you don't look how you want to look, you don't feel how you want to feel. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I haven't been taking care of myself. Because along the way, you just think you're immortal. Everything's going to be fine no matter how you take care of yourself. And then, it shows up and knocks you over. But if you can learn earlier, like we've tried to teach our kids, like all of the pieces of your health that are important so that you can have what you want and be where you want and achieve what you want. All of those pieces are so, I don't ever remember my parents talking about that when I was young. I'm 50, but when I was younger, there was no like, oh, be sure you're taking care of yourself. It was like eat and sleep so you can get up and go to school. But there was no like, how are you feeling about that? And what's your,
right.
Is your heart telling you not to do that? And listen to your gut. There were no conversations about that. I know it's way different now, just in general in the universe than it was, 30 years ago. But it's way more talked about now. But I still think not enough for boys and for girls growing up in this world. Like how important all of that is to your success and your peace and your happiness, no matter what job you pursue. Yeah. Okay, so what advice would you have for someone searching for a meaningful career? So you, that girl that's going to veterinary school and realizing, oh my gosh, I don't even like it. What would you say to a boy or a girl at that age, or even in their mid-30s, who's like at a career where they're like, I don't even like what I'm doing. What am I doing here? What advice would you have for those people that are listening?
Yeah, I think, there's been several clients I've worked with where they kind of come to that crossroads and are thinking like, whoa, the thing that I'm doing is no longer bringing me joy. And one of the things that I have people do is, first of all, to be generating a list of all of the things that you love, right? All of the skills that you have, anything you've ever heard that you're good at, anything that anyone has ever told you that you've done well, and making a list of all the things you like to do. And then, just so that you can kind of see on paper and maybe start to pull from some of these things, oh, I really love connecting with people, or, oh, I really love writing. I really love these, so that you can start looking for a pathway that has those aspects that you love as a part of it. And the one thing I love to do is to do a little visualization exercise and have people, close their eyes and imagine that they have woken up, it's the next day, it's a picture perfect morning, and you get to, what are you doing then, right? Are you getting ready and going to a job? What kind of clothing are you wearing? What time do you leave? Or do you stay at home, and being able to envision, do you work with coworkers? What are the things, like going through the steps kind of throughout the day to think about what would a perfect workday career life look like for you, and to just have that visualization and allow yourself to dream for just a little bit. And after that, to take note, to write it down, to write down what you saw. And then, and then to really, so that, I guess, to do the visualization, the list creating, so that you get some kind of idea about what you might be looking for. And then maybe taking it to the next step when you're ready and reaching out to some people who maybe have a career like that, right? Who are maybe doing some of those things. And we are so gifted now in having the Google access to us, Google access all of the time to be able to search these things. And so even I think it's kind of fun to do Google searches, putting in those kinds of keywords, things that you're really passionate about, and looking up what comes up with jobs that have those word associations, and just getting some ideas about what might even exist, and then seeing if there are some people that you might want to reach out to, just to kind of expand how you're thinking about it. Because I think sometimes we get kind of trapped in thinking that our only career choices are the ones that we sort of see around us, maybe something that our parents did, or, we go to the dentist, so maybe I would be a dentist, or we go to the grocery store, so maybe I would work at the grocery store, like things that we have access to, but there's a whole world out there of options and opportunity for people to check out. So those are a few of the recommendations that I make for how to get in touch with that.
Yeah, those are awesome recommendations. When I was younger, it was, encyclopedias, and we had a stash on the wall. And, if we wanted to look up something, or my dad would say,
Yeah.
yeah, I wonder what an elephant, where they look. Well, let's go look that up. Let's go see about that. And he was always like, let's look it up. Let's look it up. Let's go to the library, whatever we need to do. And I learned that from him, to be resourceful and just go ask questions. And it's so awesome now because, like you said, at our fingertips is the internet, and you can do the keyword search. I love that. I've never heard that before. That's a perfect way of saying, because my younger one's about to go off to college, and he knows what he wants, kind of what he wants to do, but of course it's probably a change. He said, what kind of job could I have if I do this, this, and this? Great advice to go type in those keywords, see what job roles and opportunities come up with that. So then, because you could name, like for trainer, what I do, corporate trainer, there could be, 10 different names for someone that has that job description, and every company calls it something different, and you wouldn't even know that that's the case unless you went and did some research on it. So I love that. And I also love the visualization, because that wasn't talked about a lot too when I was in college and starting my career. And it's so, so powerful. Anything I've actually ever achieved quickly in my life, it's because I have visualized it. And it was like the one extra thing I did different. I remember when I was trying to quit smoking years and years ago, I did it for a while, and you end up going back to it. I did, not successful. But the time it actually sunk in was me visualizing myself not smoking at all those places I used to smoke without it. I've never talked about this on the podcast before, but I actually would go to sleep thinking, what would it be like to be at an event, be at a concert, be at a restaurant, whatever, not be in the car, not do these things? What will I look like? What will I be wearing? How will I be feeling? All those things that you talked about, seeing it all happen. And it was like, I didn't even have to work at it anymore. I just stopped doing it. I didn't wear a patch. I didn't do any of that. I just kept doing that for, it was probably maybe just several days or a couple weeks maybe, but it just got in my brain. I don't know if you are a Tony Robbins fan, but recently I was listening to something he does. He does this priming exercise in the morning, and it's like a 15-minute exercise. He does some meditation and visualization. But one of the most powerful things he does is what you just described, which was, think about all the things you're grateful for and picture them and feel them in your body and in your mind. But then he talks about, what do you want? And picture all of those things you just talked about. What are you wearing? Who are you with? How does it feel? What's the weather look like? What are the buildings around? All of those things. No one realizes how powerful it is to be actually pretending you're in that moment, because your mind doesn't know the difference between if you're actually experiencing it or if you just think you're experiencing it. And once you can build that picture for yourself,
right?
You start attracting all of those things to make all of that possibility, because your mind and your body wants more of that. It's so powerful, but it's not talked about as much as it should be, in my opinion. Oh, I love that you're teaching your clients that. That's awesome.
No, and yeah. And something else that I really like is similar to the thing that you just talked about with Tony Robbins, is this dial it up exercise that I had learned from my business coach. It is even generating, like you're talking about, the kind of feeling that you want to have before you even get out of bed, right? Like, how do I want to feel to do the things that I want to accomplish today? And just like you're saying, visualizing what are the thoughts I would need to think? What are the things that I want for my day? And so, because our brains do not know the difference, right? So if we start thinking all of these different thoughts, we can start generating these feelings, right? Or we start envisioning these things that feel really good. You can shift those emotions. It's really remarkable.
It's awesome. I love it. I love that you're doing that instead of just like, oh, think about it a different way. It's like, no, all of these other things that go along with it, but they're just, it doesn't, and I love, what I most love about it, it doesn't take any money. It barely takes any time, and you're just using your mind. All you have to do is just close your eyes, and everyone's thought about what it would be like to be on a vacation, what it would be like to have this everyone can relate to doing something that they really want to do, and what it would feel like to be there. If you can just do that on a regular basis for those things that you want to achieve and accomplish and feel, you're going to get there so much quicker. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Okay, I have one final question for you. What do you wish is there anything you wish you had learned earlier in your life or career?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a toss up between budgeting, how to budget and manage the monies. But also I think, something that I've grappled with is, I think that a lot of times our self-worth can get tied to our achievements or our work, and we're not really recognizing, hey, I'm good no matter what I do. Whether or not this project works out, whether or not this business works out, I'm good, I'm worthwhile no matter what. And I think that I wish that I would have learned that a little sooner. It would have made the accomplishments and achieving a little bit less stressful, right? It's to enter it with no matter what, I'm okay. And so that means I can just have fun. Let me just have fun in this process. That's what it needs to be about. It needs to be just about enjoying it and not about having something to prove all of the time, right? So that's something that I've done a lot of work on now, to really let go of. And I really think that for especially a lot of high achievers, it's like letting that idea go, that somehow you have to prove your worth, and really accepting you're worthwhile no matter what can bring such peace and ease and really bring the joy back into what you do.
I love that. Bring the joy back into what you do. I love that. Thank you so much. So many good nuggets.
You're so welcome.
I love it. I know I can already tell that this is going to be powerful for people listening, because you were able to hone in on a couple of things we talked about on this podcast before, but I've definitely read about and learned about. And it's just so fun to talk to different people and see how they approach their happiness and their peacefulness and getting where they want to be in their life. It's just so interesting to talk to different people and see how it happened for them. But I am such a big proponent of the visualizing and the whole package of the mind, body, mental health thing that's going to get you where you want to go and feeling better and healthier for a longer time. So I'm so glad you talked about what you talked about. I know it's going to be really helpful for my listeners. So thank you, Alessandra. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, this was a great opportunity. Thank you so much for having me here today. And I'm grateful. Thank you.
Oh, me too. So if people want to hear more about your work or want to get in touch with you or do coaching with you, how can they find you?
Yeah, they can just head to my website. It's alysondraduke.com. And that's the best place to learn about me, learn about the work I do. If there's any other questions that you have, I also have, just under Dr. Alysandra Duke, a Facebook. There's a business page that I'm always posting events as they're going on, or different offerings that I'm doing. So those would probably be the most awesome ways to connect.
Cool. So I will make sure that that's in the show notes too, so people get in touch with you if they want. And hope you had fun talking today. I had a great time talking to you. I can't wait to learn more about what you're doing and follow your journey too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you love this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they love.